Hello, and welcome to the AWAKEN series, where we share insights on the connection between science and spirituality for self-discovery, joy, and freedom. I'm your host and spiritual coach, Stephanie Rouch, and I am here alongside Colleen Lindberg. Colleen is a soul mission activator and spiritual strategist. Her mission on Earth, super juicy, is to dismantle the conformity infrastructures holding souls back so that people can fully embody their potency and their power. Her programs, teachings, and channeling abilities help to guide light workers into more embodiment into their own light, owning their unique tools in vibration. She has 16 years of experience as a business consultant and spiritual mentor, and this has really shaped her programs that are full of divine potency and have lasting impact. She believes every single person on earth can live the life they truly desire to live if they choose to believe that. I am so thrilled to welcome Colleen to this series. Thank you, Colleen, and tell us a little about you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm like, every time I get to hear that bio, and technically I wrote it, but I'm just like, oh my God, who's this person? And I'm just like,
awesome.
Oh my God, I can't wait to meet her. Oh wait, that is me. But that's one thing about me is that everything comes through spirit. It's all channeled. So right before we hit record, Stephanie was like, are you okay to flow? And I'm like, yeah, like that's just my world, because I really believe that we are divine beings. We have a soul inside of us and we're connected to this experience. And the more that we can understand that and work with that energy, the more we get to expand in the world, the more impact we make, the more income we're connected to, the more difference and deeper rooted connections we get to make in the world. And I think that most of us have grown up in environments or families that were more conditioned, right? It's like play within the box and the infrastructure here and follow the rules and do this because we tell you to, which worked and served us for like a certain amount of time in our life. But we're coming up against this, like shifting of energies. We're coming up against the callings inside of us, like what we're actually meant to do here on earth. And a lot of the work that I'm doing right now is helping people really step into that and own it and be in it and start businesses around it, or step up in that into their life and to actually live the life they're meant to live and all that they desire to live. And it's been a really cool journey over the years of really fine-tuning that mechanism, of trusting the mechanism, of stepping into that. And it's been a ride. I'll say it's been a ride. It's been juicy. That's one of my words. I love how you added that in. You're like, this is juicy. So you've been obviously in my world for a while, because I'm like, woo, I love that word.
Yeah. And I so feel that coming from you. You have
Yeah.
very much a juicy essence. And
Thank
I'll
you.
say that it I so agree with you that there is this idea when, I don't know, when we're teens, when we're 20s, some people are really good at knowing who they are early and being like, I don't fit
Yeah.
in into this structure. I'm someone different. But for a lot of us, it takes some time to figure out actually what I truly desire and who I really am doesn't quite fit this script. And I will be the first to raise my hand that just in the past couple of years, I have
Yeah.
felt really empowered. I always have this feeling of like, well, I think that I can kind of make it work and like fit inside the box and still live out my soul's mission. And I was just telling you right before we started that I finally realized that wasn't possible. And I didn't see, though, when I was in that world, I didn't see a lot of people pushing the boundaries. And
Yeah.
once I started opening up, I have met a lot of people like you and many others who are stepping outside of that box. And so for our audience members, my hope is that you'll be able to see with this panel of speakers that the world of people living true to themselves is a lot bigger than it might seem. And I
Mm.
wonder if you want to comment on that.
Well, every single one of us has what I call the whisper inside of us. Like there's something that's coming through, most likely your heart center, although we hear it in our ears, but it's like here through our heart that we are desiring something. So it's like, maybe I could do that. Or like you love to crochet and you're like, but I don't know and understand how I could make millions of dollars crocheting. And it's like, if you are meant for millions of dollars and that's part of your mission, it will come through the crocheting avenue if that's where you're meant to be. And some of us think so small because we've been conditioned to think small, and we don't get that once we start to follow the whisper, all the possibilities start to open up, that we're now playing in the energetic field instead of in our how human. And our how human is the controller, right? I want to control things. This is what I know. So this is why I'm going to take action like this. When we start to lead with this whisper, with the soul's mission, we don't play in the how human anymore. We literally open up possibility to play with divine, where now all these random things start to happen, or the you're never going to believe this energy starts to play out, because we're not working anymore in the linear earth plane. We're working now with divine and the coding of divine and quantum fields, which means everything is possible over here. But we can't consciously understand that because most of us work here with our brain, with our mind. This is what I see, so that's reality. When we're really shifting right now into this is what I see through my heart, and I don't know how it's going to happen, and I don't know how this is going to come into play, and I don't know what this means or how this is going to play out in the world, but I'm being called into this, and I'm just going to keep taking action. And then all of a sudden on the other side is the results, and now we understand why we get the hit. But most of us keep thinking about, I need to know why now before I take action, which is completely opposing to spirituality.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And I have heard from other speakers that there's this sense that when we use our logical mind, we're really living in the past and using evidence of what has already worked in our lives. And
Yeah.
when we live from our heart and our intuition, we are opening to the future and to the unknown, but there still is a like benevolent force that is guiding us. And that kind of sounds like along the lines of what you're saying.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
all of us that are really stepped up into this space right now are doing that work to connect in here deeper. How do I keep opening this up? How do I keep trusting the calling? How do I keep stepping in? Like when we get the intuitive hits, it's like we take action. And I heard this once from a speaker that I thought was like one of the most beautiful things. It's like intuition and our intuitive hits don't come at opportune times. Like they're not coming when you got 5 hours in the afternoon to execute. They're coming in the times where you're most busy, probably. And you're like, I'll handle that later.
Yeah.
When God, the universe, is going, wait a second, you just told me you wanted a $5,000 day today and that you were willing to do whatever it took for that. And you've been playing in that field all morning. But I just told you what you need to do it. And all of a sudden you say, I'll do that later. And it's like, that's the real key that connects these next levels, this next level of expansion for us is in those moments of time. We know what we want, most of us do, or we're figuring it out right now. And once we know at least some piece of it, we're asking for it in our life. Show me a sign, give me this, this is what I desire, and then we're working behind it. But the key that I find that most people are missing is that God, the universe, divine talks, and it's like, boom, the hit comes in, send the email, make the call, do this, launch the offer, go live on Instagram, whatever it is that's coming through you. And you're like, I'll get to that later. And we don't realize that we are the limitation as we are our own liberation, right? It's like we're blocking that from coming in. So our job as these spiritual beings on earth is to be like, wait a second. Okay, I'm going to take action right now, and be like, whoosh, bring it through and go. Now, obviously, if you're getting interviewed on a summit or you're, in a space of doing stuff, it's a little bit different, but it's like, that's the first action you take once you get off these calls. It's like, how do I get that out into the world to make sure that that lands where it needs to go? Because that's the actual power behind everything.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And I do want to share that one of the main reasons I was really drawn to asking you to speak on this summit is there's a parallel to me between this merging, this bridging of science and spirituality, also with merging masculine and feminine energies. And I feel like from what I have read of your beautiful newsletters and the programs that you're putting out, you have a strength of really being able to embody this divine feminine and integrate it in with the masculine by like the actions that you're talking about taking. And I'm wondering, what does that look like for you to integrate, whether it's science and spirituality or masculine and feminine energies?
Yeah, let me move to the masculine and feminine energies, and I think it will cover all of the scientific stuff as well for those of you guys in it. So,
Yeah.
when we go to business, let's say in business, we've got both energies that play out. Every single one of us has both energies. We all have duality within us. We have masculine and feminine energies in all of us. Every single chakra system, every single cell in our bodies has the duality. Okay. So we all have it. Doesn't matter whether you're female or male, it doesn't matter. So in business, for so much, like probably at least 10 years, I was driven in masculine. And let me tell you about masculine energy strategies, more execution, a lot of hustling energy. I was a driver, independent. I needed something done. I would go get it done. That's the energy of the masculine. And it serves us still in business today with structure. So we need some plans. We need some kind of outlines. We need something to sell, right? And the masculine will create something to sell, meaning the infrastructure. We need landing pages. We need, checkout forms. We need graphics. Although the feminine weaves itself into the graphics because the graphics expression is coming out feminine, the artistic side to us. However, there's still structure that needs to be playing out.
Mhm.
Now, if we go to the other side of the feminine is the creation. The feminine is the intuition, the energy on things. It's the movement of energy and flow. And when I started to work with her, so I went through years of straight up masculine, and then I went through years of straight up feminine. Like I'm not doing anything masculine. I have no plans. I'm not budgeting anything. I'm not doing any structure. I'm just going to flow every day.
Yeah.
I still made the same amount of income. However, I was kind of one of those hippie out there people that wasn't committing to life. And, I played the game over in this space really, really well. And I honor this version of me. And then I started to realize that if I really wanted to grow and to embody and to be and to get bigger impact in the world, I had to blend both of these energies together. So what does this look like in every day for me? So the morning is feminine energy driven for me. It is, I take time with myself. I open up my heart. I do meditation. I do some movement to move energy through my body. I connect into myself and I visualize and I'm like, what do I desire today? What's coming through for today? So let's say it's a $5,000 day. That's what I want today. So I drop into my $5,000 day in my energy field and I play in $5,000 days. What would it feel like to be in this space? What does this look like? What does this move like? And then I ask the question, A, is there anything blocking me from getting that? So then I can do some work to clear it. And B, what do I need to do masculine in order to embody this and bring it forth? And then from there, I'll get the action plan. So it'll say, we need content going out. This is the program you're creating. This is the piece. Literally, I drop in, I go, boom. And now I'm creating in the space of this energy that's moving through. I get the plan now in place to create this. Now, there's still infrastructures in my business. I still know that I'm teaching 4 new programs this year. I know that my reoccurring programs are coming back in certain spaces, and this is what I'm doing. So I have some infrastructure I get to flow within, but my days are bringing in and molding both of these energies together because the power of expansion is actually in the feminine. And we don't realize this because most of us want to keep doing. We want to do, when the expander is the be. How can I be more in the energetic capacity? And that's the feminine energy coming through. And whether you're a male or female in this life, this pertains to all of us. Your vision for your business, the energy you want to create, that impact. If you take 5 minutes even in the morning to just visualize your business and where it's going, that imprint and starts to imprint in the field. So now the energy is out there to call in the people to work with you, to align with you, to joint venture with you, to expand with you. But most of us are not taking the time in both of these realms. It's a very driven still in doing. So yeah, does that help?
Absolutely, that helps. And I love that perspective and just want to highlight that where it's about leading with the being and like creating this open space because you're right, we do have this bias towards action and
Mhm.
we need action. It's
Yeah.
really what does make movement happen, but at the same time action can also be wheels spinning if there's
Mhm.
not the space and the direction to keep things moving. And it's not a perfect, like we don't want to say that it's there's a beautiful balance to like now just apply this approach to your life because that's not what it is either.
Yeah.
But there's a reframe that's possible with stepping into your feminine that is a little bit more like spiritual in nature too. I think for some people it could feel like stepping into their heart or spirituality.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want to bring it back even to the science and spirituality, like the feminine energy is the spiritual, intuitive side, and the masculine is the science, the driven results. Now, this will take you to a certain space, but you will get capped here, especially if you keep launching in old systems, especially if you keep trying to do things like you did 2 years ago, even. The energy has changed in the world, and us as people are desiring different things now. So we've got to, and I say that with grace, you don't have to do anything, obviously, but in this perspective of conversation, if you're taking this on, we've got to start to do the work to expand and shift our own energetics and be able to hold it and be with it and have capacity to work with it. Some of us need to be diving into shadow work to release some of the energies that are holding us back that way. But it's also too understanding that there's a weave now moving through. In like astrology, when we moved into the age of Aquarius, the game changed. So how we actually did life in before 2020 was relevant then. We could have success in the masculine driven energy. Now what's transpiring is that we have to have both to get to where we need to go now. And it's just an interesting shift in the whole entire mechanism of the world, really.
Totally. And you talked at the beginning about how it can be really scary to
Mm.
step out from the script and create your own path. How have you managed to like be a soft landing for yourself, or how just to share some of your own story and then give recommendations for people
Mm.
wanting to take those first steps of stepping into their true self?
Yeah, I think for so many of us, we've been conditioned to not actually speak our truth, right? We were at young ages, even we were taught not to do this. Don't say what you actually feel, or you can't say that in public, or all these things. And if you look back on the storylines that move through you in the years of your childhood and high school, and school even conditioned us. Don't speak that. You can't say that in class. You can't do like, it's like that real can't energy. So we are dismantling this right now in the energetic field. And a couple of the key things that I really, really dive into with clients is like your message is in the mess. So the mess of your life and the things you've been through is your authentic blueprint in the world. And that's part of the mechanism, most likely, that you're leading people through. You're teaching them about this, you're being open about this, you're expanding with this. And we go through things to be able to teach from them, whether that's our kids or whether that's on a stage out here in the world. It doesn't matter where you're teaching it. It matters that you're paying attention to your life lessons to move them into the world. They didn't happen by accident. They are like literally been put into your field for you to learn from them and to move that energy into the collective in some way, shape, or form. So if you can understand that and really look at that to be like, my message is in the mess, then how am I stepping up to share the mess into the world without shame, without judgment? I literally just created a reel today that I'll put out on Instagram that talks about I went bankrupt at 23. And I have never announced this into life. It was something that I was holding so much shame around when I was 23 years old. And even up until like I don't even know, like a few years ago, where I was like, I needed to do the work around this to be like, look, we made decisions based on this. This is how you were reacting in life. This is what you wanted for your life. And you didn't know how to get it this way. So you did it this way, which was completely the wrong avenue to be within. And let's just recognize that that's the decisions that you made and be with that. But I still like hold, and not today, because I can really lean into that truth and actually say this out loud as a truth. Like, but when I was dating guys, I didn't want to tell them. I was holding so much shame in this avenue, thinking like I should have my shit together. I should know that and all this kinds of stuff. So it's like I'm releasing that into the world. I also did a podcast interview a few years ago on abortion and about how I've had an abortion and on this podcast. And one of my clients was like, I can't believe you said that out loud. I was like, it's part of the path. So I just want you to really feel into yourself. And I'm not saying go blow up your social media now, telling all your secrets online, but there's stuff that's coming through you to share. Because when you share it, you're lighting a light somewhere else. And you don't know who's watching. You don't know who needed the message today. You have no idea. But if it's coming up in you to speak it into the world, it's meant to come through you. You've been on this journey for a reason. So I just want to encourage all of us to really feel into that, because sometimes we're like, well, I got to be professional, or I've got to be like this, or I have to hold. It's like, no, you've got to be authentically yourself, period. That's it. And in that, the right people will come into play. And maybe your mom will be pissed at you for a few months that you expose that on social media. But it's like you can't live under your mom's guises any longer. You've got to start to step in to own this, because someone is looking for you to work with you, to be with you, to do all the things with you, to have you as a beautiful friend in their world, but they can't find you until you light it up. So,
Mm. Mm.
yeah.
Would you be willing to share for yourself and your clients when you do start to speak your truth? There, for a lot of people, there can be that fear or actual reality of their circle changing. And
Mm-hmm.
so then there's this like, oh no, am I going to belong? Am I going to be alone?
Yeah.
But does it, perhaps you could give some comfort, like, do people find their new circle where they're supported as themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. So I only had one person in my life who was my ex-boyfriend at the time, back in like 2015, 2016, when I first started really speaking about spirituality. Not online, like I would do it in like secrecy. I called it, like I was like a closet spiritual person
Yep.
talking about stuff. We'd be out in the back 40 and I'd be like, do you know about the law of attraction? And I'd be like whispering it into the world. And he was the only person in my life that I spoke almost freely to. I didn't tell him all the things that was going on in my world. I still kept that energy. And then one day I was like, this isn't serving me at all. I need to start to express this into life and find people that I could speak into this space of stuff. And I met my hairdresser at the time, and she's a hairdresser, so she's just like, I heard all different kinds of stuff going on in this chair, and we started to talk about spirits and her being able to see spirits and her son seeing spirits when he was 4, and we started to have this conversation in life. And I then opened up more and more people in my world. And then when I started owning my psychic abilities in 2020, it was like more and more people started coming into my space. And I wouldn't say I lost people, but people backed right away. They couldn't hold it. And it's not my job to be comfortable for them. My job is to just keep stepping up and showing the truth. And there was times I'd had to call my mom to be like, Mom, I'm owning my sexual edge in my photos now. Like, I'm going all in online. And if you can't handle it, just unfriend me on Facebook. Like, that's what I said to my mom.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that's the deal now. Like, I can't just be like this in my world anymore. It's coming through so hot that I have to step in. And there was a time she was like, what is up with these nipple photos? And I'm like, it has nothing to do with nipples, Mom. Like, I just walked out of a waterfall in a white dress, so I'm wet. But it was like the whole divine feminine embodiment, goddess energy. They're some of the most powerful photos. Like, my photographer, without editing, captured my essence, like my higher self version of me. It was the most coolest thing. And I was like, Mom, you missed the mark. This isn't about nipples. This is about literally divine feminine expression. And if you can't handle this, like I told you before, unfriend me. Okay. Because I'm not dealing with this with you. Like, you need to get over your stuff over here and do the work around this, that this is who I am. And I've learned, though, to hold that. I've learned to hold my power there. I will never, ever let anyone take my power away from me anymore, because that's my mission. That's what I'm meant to do. And the more it got easier and easier as I stepped in. And now I have cool people, like I channel dragons, I talk about weird stuff. I'm like, yeah, I've been, astral traveling for the last 2 hours, and nobody blinks an eye. And I'm actually in a really tight, there's 13 of us women in this community, and all of us are doing this work. Like, it's not weird for any of us. It is who we are. So you will find your people, but you've got to be willing to make the shift to step in. But they can't find you if you're pretending to be. If you're not fully potent, you got to start to lean into that power, because that's where everything lies, is in there.
Mm.
Yeah.
Totally speaking to me right now.
Yeah.
And there's that, what I heard from you is there might be those one or two relationships where you're making someone really uncomfortable and getting the feedback from it. And then there may be like a little bit of a bigger circle of people that back away, but then you're bringing in dozens,
Yeah.
hundreds, maybe thousands of others who are really resonating with your message. And
Yeah.
so just the scale of that is really, another, to use a word, really potent of
Mhm.
what is possible when you really are authentically yourself.
It's a huge deal. And this is the thing I want you to really feel. You can be all of you in this community.
Mm.
You don't have to pretend to be anything but yourself. And that's the desire we all have. And sometimes family becomes not blood and they become rooted people in your life, your, ride or dies in the space of everything because your family won't show up for you in the way that you need. And it's not good or bad, it just is. And the more we can recognize the is, the more we can move through. And it's like, we're not holding on anymore. If you don't want to be in my world, amazing. You don't have to be. If you're not my first call when stuff goes on, I'm okay with that. But I will find someone that's like, I'm your first call. I will show up for you every single day. If you need help, I'm right here. And that might not be your family. That might not be your friend from 20 years ago. Like, it's like things are shifting and changing. And when you diminish yourself, you're doing nobody service because you've committed to this. This is a soul contract. You said before you jumped into this body, this is what I'm going to do. Now it's time that we work that and move with that and literally align our lives there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. I am feeling like there are going to be some people watching this and like, okay, how do I work with you? Tell us about some of the programs that you offer and what people can expect from working with you.
Yeah, so I have programs, live programs that I teach throughout the year. So my Instagram is always juicified, I call it, with offerings. So whether that's I have a collective, which is like my spiritual community, I teach every week in it. It's a low ticket offer, meaning anybody can come in at any budget price point and come play. I say come play in the field. But the real potency is one-to-one work. Like I have 30-day activation containers where we just go in and blow stuff up and we like diminish stuff, we clear energy, we get you aligned. Like people have changed income levels in 30 days just because of the power of that type of work. And then I have longer containers where we're doing different types of work like shadow work and all this different aspects and business strategies and building out business portal ways and soul mission stuff inside of there. So it just depends on where you land. So like if you're feeling called, like just send me a DM and let's chat. Like I'm more than willing to serve wherever I can serve and help wherever I can help. And it's like we can talk about where you're at and what feels aligned for you. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And I am also curious, you have all of these psychic abilities and they were there from maybe a young age. What was your process of coming fully into yourself? How did you really start to embody those gifts?
Yeah, so there's like a multifold story to this. So I'm gonna try and get you the Coles Notes version.
Okay.
I've always been intuitive and pretty much teenage till mid 20s, I purposely did everything against my intuition. So I was that rebel that was like, I'm not listening to this. I'm going to do completely the opposite. So as you can imagine, I have a lot of stories around a lot of things, lots of challenge, lots of struggle because I'm choosing not to flow with the universal alignment. Such a great time. And then at 28, I found my first spiritual mentor, like actual paid spiritual mentor who started to get me into the pathway of actually listening and worked with her for 5 years in the space of all of that. Did some surface level, work. I call it that because I'm an overachieving student, which means that I'm like, yeah, I got the work. Yep, we got it done. And I didn't actually go into the work until a few years later where I understood what shadow work actually meant and healing the self, what actually it really means. But in 2020 was when I actually started owning my like psychic mediumship gift. And it happened where I was getting a pedicure and the woman who owns the salon said to me, hey, I'm thinking about doing like a thing here where, like I'm thinking about having you come in and like do some work with some people. And I was like, yeah, like goal setting or accountability. I'm still really rooted in business consulting world. And she's like, no, that thing where like we ask you a question and then you give us an answer. And I was like a psychic? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, no, I don't do that kind of work. Right. I'm like, no, that's not who I am. And literally, my toes are drying and she comes back and she's like, so I'm thinking we'll do it on August the 25th. Like she completely ignored me. And then all I kept hearing from spirit was like, you need to do this. And I was like, oh my God, like, I don't even know what is I was like, okay, fine. And so literally for 3 weeks before that event, I like did all the things. I cut out dairy, I cut out alcohol, I stopped eating meat. I was like meditating every day. And I was like, oh my God, I just don't even know how I'm going to do this. Like, how do I open up this portal? Like, I'm not a psychic. And I had a plan. And if you know me now today, you'd be like, oh my God, Colleen with a plan. That's freaking hilarious. Like even how I teach master classes, I have an energy, an essence. Maybe it's like a line that dropped in. And then I go and I channel for like half an hour, 45 minutes to an hour. And then I'm like, okay, the message is done. And everyone's like that's my gift in action. Right. And I'm like, I never have plans ever that way. And so I started with the top of the line of the plan. And then all of a sudden I just dropped in and just did the work. And people are like, how do you know this? And I'm like, I don't even know how I know any of this. And then that's how it started. And she actually put it out. And she was really well known in the community that I lived within. And like 300 of my friends follow her. So it was like all of a sudden she has a night with a psychic going out into the world. And I was like, oh, like I had to actually own it. And then other people booked these circles, and then I ended up bringing them online and doing them every month for like 2.5 years. And now I do circles every quarter, but you can only get access to them through the collective. But it's like a download. It's like I'm channeling, and then it just opened up this whole pathway of all the things. And but it took grit. And I say this a lot. It took courage. It really did. It took me trusting that I would be held by the universe, that I can make it happen. And it's like courage and grit and trust are key dimensions in the world we're moving through right now. Because it didn't make any logical sense that I could do this at all. None. Like there wasn't anything in my life that was like, you're a psychic. And I'm like it wasn't anything. But all I knew, and I just kept trusting the calling, was like, you need to do this. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. Yeah. And that's how it starts, really. So, yeah.
So there is that like discomfort and fear and
doubt's a key. Confusion, those are key shadow energies we're moving through right now in the collective. Doubt is a BITCH. And I just want to say that a lot of you guys are playing in this. You are doubting you can create. You're doubting you can make money at it. You're doubting this. You're doubting that. All of it. And what I want to say to you right now, if you take anything from this, which I know you're going to take a lot more than just this, but take this to the bank with you. Move doubt out of your field and just trust and keep taking action in it, because it will cloud you from actually moving forward in what you're meant to do. And it will stop the money. It will stop the people. It will stop all of this from coming together.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm taking that for myself.
Yeah. Maybe it was for you.
Colleen, would you be willing to share with us any sort of exercise that you like to use that could be either to get deeper into your intuition or even move past some shadows, whatever you feel inspired to do right now?
Well, both would be relevant for this exercise. Okay. And here's what I say to everybody is close your eyes and breathe. And that's literally all you have to do. Mm-hmm. So when you take moments to be, and this is the challenge we're all trying to do, we all have the next place to go to, we all have something else on our list to do, and we don't take the moments to be with ourselves. And if you just take a moment to close your eyes and breathe into your body and connect back into here, you will connect back into all things. You'll be able to see through the shadow, the anxiety, the depression, the whatever is going on, the doubt. And if you get back into here and you breathe into your body and you allow the breath to just move through your body, you will be able to expand through that. And some days it may be 2 minutes and other days it's 20 minutes. But whatever it is, just take the hit and move through. There you go. And then from there, what you can expand into, if you really want to connect in deeper to self, is like open up your heart. So literally breathe, close your eyes, and just imagine your heart chakra opening. And from there, you're just connected right into self. And that could be like a light coming through. That could just be intentional openings. Some of you will feel it in your body as that connection. And all of that plays out in this energetic field. And the more we lead here, the more we're connected to all the things, to the untruth, to the truth, to the feelings that we're having, to the intuitive hits, to all the stuff. So yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And you do have a gift that you are offering to the members of this series, and it is meditations focused on activating your soul purpose. So tell us about what people can expect from those.
Yeah, well, it's going to be a drop-in and it's just an accelerator. So I am pretty sure that it's a light language transmission as well. So some of you may not know what light language is. it is a channeled quantum coding. So think about me speaking Spanish into your ear, but instead of Spanish, it is like divine alignment language, we'll call it. So it's an accelerator. It doesn't play by the linear rules. It could literally, if you receive this meditation and transmission, it could literally just bust some stuff open in your energetic field. So yeah.
Great. Well, take advantage of that. So generous. Thank you, Colleen. And thank you so, so much for your time and sharing your gifts and perspective with us.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. And I'm so grateful just to be a part of the movement you're creating. So thanks for like having this for all of us to be here together.
Thank you for tuning in to this amazing interview as part of our Awaken series. I hope you found value. Check out the rest of the interviews on Awaken. Keep tuning in and please subscribe to Paradigm Expansions to stay in touch, where we are doing more events like this, and we are all about dropping in to your heart, to your true self, to really, truly love your life. Thank you for joining. See you on the next video.